What comes to your mind when you think about the immune system? Now think about Africa. What does it bring to mind? On Immuno Africa, our conversations bring both together. We invite professors, postdocs, PhD students, and everyone in between to tell us about their journey into immunology, the questions driving their current work, and the impact they hope to make on the continent. I am Wealth Okete, your guide on this adventure, or better yet, your co-explorer. In each episode, I bring you the inspiring stories, innovative approaches, and invaluable perspectives of the Africans advancing the field of immunology, both locally and globally. Join me for an exciting adventure into immunology through the hands and eyes of Africa. To start 2025, we are celebrating our growth over the past 2 years and revisiting some of the most insightful moments from past episodes. On this first installment, we highlight key takeaways shared by guests hosted in 2022 and 2023. Stay tuned for part 2, where we bring you highlights from 2024.
The need to communicate scientific results and breakthroughs cannot be overemphasized, because the job of the researcher in the lab or the clinician in the hospital is made futile if it is not translated.
As immunologists in Africa, we need to come up more, talk about our work more, and I think also be able to talk about that work in not very scientific terms, which is a thing most of us are not good at. And I guess that's where you come in science communication.
Over the years, a number of research studies have observed that there are striking differences in immune responses to vaccines across different populations. So, for example, the malaria vaccine, one of the malaria vaccine candidates that has been under development, so it was developed in the US, and it showed a much greater, higher protective efficacy amongst volunteers in the US compared to volunteers in Equatorial Guinea. And similar observations have been seen over the years when it comes to also the rotavirus vaccine, as well as the established TB vaccine. The aim of the Knowledge Hub is to really understand what it is, why are these differences occurring, and how can you reverse this vaccine hyper-responsiveness, so that populations in low and middle income countries, especially in rural areas, are better protected.
Infants who are born from mothers who are living with HIV tend to succumb to illnesses at a higher rate compared to those who are not born from women living with HIV. So due to perinatal antiretroviral treatment, these infants were not getting infected by HIV. The theories was, one, the mothers are receiving antiretroviral treatment throughout pregnancy, so that could also influence the immune system. And the other theory was that given that these moms have chronic infection, that might be causing their immune system to be hyperactivated, and this hyperactivation of the immune system in the mothers will then create an environment for the baby's immune system will develop, which will then alter it compared to those of mothers who are not living with HIV. And then because of those factors during development, the maternal factors can be imprinted in the baby, and therefore that will then result in the baby being more sick or more vulnerable in terms of their immune system is no longer the same as infants who are born from mothers who are not living with HIV.
In the immune system, we have several regulatory mechanisms, and the Tregs are one of the mechanisms that the immune system has to control the production of toxic substance, the activity of cells that are killing other cells. There are several cells with this regulatory capacity, but the main group of cells, or the well described, are the regulatory T cells from the CD4 T cell population, with this ability to control the action of other CD4 T cells or other cells of the immune response. And they can act in different ways. they can secrete anti-inflammatory cytokines like TGF-beta, like IL-10. They can also suppress the immune response by sending like perforins and granzymes into the activated cells. So they have several ways of action to control the activity of the other cells or other elements of the immune response.
So this particular interferon gamma is thought to be produced by a subset of immune cells called T cells. And these T cells, they produce interferon gamma, and then interferon gamma activates another group of immune cells called macrophages. So these macrophages are a type of Pac-Man immune cells, so they gobble up the bacteria. So they ingest the bacteria, and when interferon gamma activates them, they are more capable of degrading the bacteria. If there is a defect with this interferon gamma protein, or with the pathway that activates these macrophages through interferon gamma, then you are less capable of coping with TB.
So we need to better understand the immunology of certain disease, infection, certain entities, and then just apply directly then to develop new diagnostic tools which are safer, reliable, cheaper to get into endemic region, portable device. So this is what I will stress out about reaching the 2030 goals.
There are certain things we can do for ourselves before we ask for help outside Africa. And in most situations, we are either reluctant or willing to do for ourselves. We would need to take the bull by the horn as Africans and do what is right to ensure that we cause the transformation that we want to see in the health sector. So I think that's very important, that we don't work in silos. We invest in our health system, we conduct more research, we work more collaboratively. And if we do that, our various countries, our continents, will be better off.
We need to believe in ourselves. I think that this is the first step. We should put ourselves as the main players. Most of the times we blame the government, but we cannot expect the government to resolve the problems that the scientists needs to solve. So I think that us as a scientist, we have a role. And this is the exercise that I'm trying to do, I'm doing day after day, is try to use the limited resource that we have, the limited knowledge that we have, and try to use it to create solutions. But we need to be part of the solution, and the solution needs to start with us.
Look at older studies from the 90s, from the 80s, from just broadly on immunology. You might find a connection that might be relevant to your work. But scientists, generally speaking, what happens is that when you write a scientific paper, people always want to quote the latest papers. So they don't want to go back even 10 years. That's already considered way too old. Valuable work is kind of forgotten, which is a shame, because taking bits and pieces from other people. I mean, that's the whole point of science, right? It's cumulative. So I would advise people to try to read, older papers, to go and look at other disciplines, other fields of research, and that might help you to broaden your horizon and find solutions.
Read broadly. In your reading, try to identify the gaps in literature, causes from the gaps that are in literature that you eventually define your research niche. You need a critical mind to identify the gaps in the literature that is available, and also just being passionate about what you are doing, what your interest is, because it's your passion that will probably get you going when days are tough, when days are dark, maybe when the funding is not forthcoming and when you're not getting the results that you expected, but it's still your passion about the research field that you have chosen that will get you through those difficult times.
usually is very important really early on to actually enjoy what you're doing. Be able to report on what you are doing. Always be thinking of how do you share your information with the public sector, with the scientific community as well. I think that helps put you in a specific area because now you are known as this person who does the specific research, which puts you in a better position to actually get funded for your research because now you have been reporting it and people can see your track record. But while doing this, don't lose your love for research, for doing science.
Every researcher requires curiosity. If you don't have sufficient curiosity, it becomes difficult for you to break new grounds. I teach my students what they call the concept of why. And the concept of why says that you must ask why for everything. And that is where the discoveries come, when you ask why.
I have always lived by the scripture that says time and chance happens to us all, and I say that because I look at the most successful people in the world, and I always tell myself that time and chance happens to us all, which means that if they were capable of getting where they are, it means that in my own life, I have enough time and I have enough chances and opportunities for me to get there as well. All I just have to do is to work hard for it, And I think that is something that I have really taken and have embraced. But I think contrary to that, I am a person that I really do not have like someone that I want to become, because I feel like if I want to become someone, then it means that no one is going to be able to become me. So one of the biggest things that I want to do is to become me to the fullest.
We all have limits, and we have to stay and see where are our limits. It's the diagnostic, and when you have your diagnostic, all your life long, your objective should be to try to improve yourself.
I always have this mental picture of what I want. Having that purpose always helps me to develop the passion. So like the purpose drives my passion. So when I get passionate about something, it gives me what I would call a mental strength. The purpose gives a mental picture. The passion gives a mental strength. Now, where is this mental strength very important? It leads to the next thing, diligence. I believe that you have to put in the work. There is something about diligence and hard work, or putting in the work. At times you would get tired. Your body would get tired. That is where that mental strength from passion will keep pushing you.
If you're an undergraduate and you want to continue in a particular path, maybe to do a master's degree, and or make sure that you collect mentors, you approach professors about, I'm really interested in this, get their advice, make sure that, you interact with them, establish mentors who can back you up, because, you do need to, if you're going to continue academics, you have to get letters of support and so forth, and they have to be good ones.
When you are being used, be useful to yourself, to the person using you, and to your community. Rather than complain of someone taking advantage of you, how do you turn out that time the person is taking advantage of you into benefiting yourself, benefit that person, and also benefiting others? So it becomes a win-win.
Pursue excellence. Like whatever you do, make sure that you are giving it your all. Make sure that you want to improve. And when I mean excellence, it's like always that mindset of like, now I have it at this standard, but next time when I'm doing it, or the next thing I'm doing, I want an improved standard. I want it a little bit higher. I want it a little bit better. So always having that excellence mind spirit, it will really take you far. It will take you to places wherein you would not dream of, because people will get to see that work ethic in you. People will get to see the excellent work that you're doing. They will get to respect you for that, but then also avenues will be open for you to share those work or your experience, so that at least that could better humanity.
think the first thing I would say is know where you're going. So that applies to everyone, even for myself. And that changes all the time. I mean, but you have the end goal in mind. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how you're going to get there, but have the end goal in mind. And secondly, I would say know who you are. I think that's very important because circumstances will always change, things will always change, the path might not be always straight, but I know who I am, what I'm capable of, and what I can do. And most importantly is there is a cost attached to everything. If you want to achieve something or do something, there is a cost.
There is no height you cannot attain. You just have to go for it. You don't have to look down on yourself or write yourself off. There is nothing you cannot achieve. Put in the work, apply, and hope for the best. Even when things are not working, when you are failing multiple times, just don't stop. Because if you stop, then you have everything to lose. But if you don't stop, at least you still stand a chance.
Many thanks to our guest, you, our listener, and everyone behind the scenes who made this episode possible, particularly team members Cedric and Cyril. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review on your preferred streaming platform. Also, feel free to continue the conversation with us on social media. Tag our handles at @ImmunoAfrica_ or the Immunology in Africa podcast. Support our efforts to amplify African stories of immunology by nominating a guest or buying us coffee. Visit the link in the description or send us an email, immuno.africa@gmail.com. See you on the next episode.